Good afternoon. I am Andrea Chisholm with the Midday News. A special welcome if you're watching on onespotmedia.com. We begin with a developing story. A deepening gang feud in Spanish Town, St. Catherine has left a bus conductor dead. He was killed by heavily armed gunmen on Burke Road early this morning and has been identified as 16-year-old Damar Reed. Mr. Reed worked on the Bayside to Spanish Town route. It's reported that about 8 o'clock, the bus conductor was standing at the corner of Burke Road and King Street. A Probox motor car with red license plates approached him. Occupants emerged with AK-47 and M16 rifles and opened gunfire, hitting Mr. Reed several times. His colleagues, who have since withdrawn their service in protest, are calling on the police to protect them.
What's going on? Because I get to see one of my co-workers get him marrow splash out this morning on the ground. And I would like to know what's going on, because on a big man level, I have to ask and say to the government and the bigger heads them, we is hard work. All who out here so is boss man. We is hard working decent citizen. We say we get up 4:30 every morning and left out of the house to carry people from point A to point B. And at the same time, we don't appreciate it in this world. So we really want to know what's going on. Police are take set pan we, other people are take set pan we. We are pay tax, you know.
The police believe the killing is linked to a feud between the Klansman and One Don gangs in Spanish Town. So far, 5 people have been killed since the weekend. People's National Party (PNP) presidential candidate Peter Bunting is again blasting the government over the imposition of states of emergency to tackle crime. Speaking at a PNP conference in St. James South on the weekend, Mr. Bunting described the government as a fraud. He accused the administration of giving Jamaicans a sense of false hope. Mr. Bunting asserts that the government has negatively impacted the livelihood of some residents.
But what happens on a state of emergency? The big business can sell chicken till 2 a.m. But the pan chicken man, right at the entrance to the same restaurant, gets run off on the road by 8 o'clock. It is the small person in this country that's bearing the burden of the state of emergency. It is not necessary.
Mr. Bunting also described the use of the SOEs as a classist crime-fighting mechanism.
24 sons of those who live in Jackshill or Cherry Gardens and detain them for one night without bail. State of emergency done one time in this country.
He argues that the SOEs are in some areas are not only due to criminal activities.
Because they don't care about the rights of these people, they feel they can run roughshod over them and take away their rights as they like. But not so.
The Child Protection and Family Services Agency says a review of safety arrangements at children's homes has been completed and recommendations are already being implemented. The update comes on the heels of Friday's fire at the Jamaica National Children's Homes, which raises additional concerns about the safety of buildings housing wards of the state. The review was ordered by Prime Minister Andrew Holness last year, following a fire at the Walker's Place of Safety on Lyndhurst Crescent, St. Andrew. That fire left 2 wards dead. Chief Executive Officer of the Child Protection Agency, Rosalie Gage-Gray, says the review has been submitted to the Youth Ministry. She says it's focused on risk reduction, emergency response, and property security.
So the comprehensive report that was submitted puts all of those recommendations together, and we have an action plan that we are working through to ensure that all facilities are up to code and up to standard in respect of fire safety and disaster management in general. We have been working with individual homes for those who need financial support to get some of these things done.
Human rights advocate Susan Goff has called for details of the review to be made public. And it's time for a break. We have more stories right after this. Welcome back, and we're continuing the news. The number of housing solutions in St. James will be significantly increased in the coming years. That's according to East Central St. James Member of Parliament Edmund Bartlett. The housing solutions will be constructed in Grange Pen in the parish. Mr. Bartlett made the announcement recently at the groundbreaking ceremony for the Rhinesbury housing development.
We are going to build 1,000 houses up there, Prime Minister. So different from here. So when we finish with that, we have 1,000 houses up in Grange Pen. We have 754, and there's a lady in the room, Prime Minister, named Mrs. Witter, that don't want me to mention that she's offering something close by that could just add another 50 units to the 754. So it could be 800.
Mayor of Montego Bay, Homer Davis, says the municipal corporation will be keeping a close eye on the housing development.
I am confident that this development will be undertaken prudently, transparently, within budget, and free of unrest, and that it will be done in time specified.
Mr. Davis also had a warning for potential homeowners.
The municipality will be vigilant in ensuring that the covenant governing this development is respected. So persons who think that they can set up shops, garages, and other commercial activities in breach of the covenant need to think again. The St. James Municipal Corporation will have none of that, and any breach will be addressed in the sternest manner.
There are increasing concerns that the education system will be short of specialist teachers when the new academic year begins in a few weeks. President of the Jamaica Teachers Association, JTA, Dr. Garth Anderson, says a number of teachers have been resigning to take up jobs overseas, and it may be difficult to fill the posts.
Well, what I can say to you, I have been reliably informed that a number of teachers in critical areas of science and mathematics will be leaving the classroom, and I anticipate that in September we are going to have a serious problem filling those positions. I do not have the exact figure in terms of resigning, because the fact is that teachers can in fact make their plans and they have not yet informed schools as we speak. But I know of a fact that some schools have in fact gotten resignations, and the principals, administrators are aware that these teachers will be leaving our shores.
He says several government-paid teachers have received jobs in the United States and Japan. Meanwhile, a news release from the Ministry of Education says secondary school principals who are facing challenges finding mathematics and science teachers should contact the Micah University College and Church Teachers College to identify graduates who are available. The ministry says 176 students have completed a Bachelor of Science in Secondary Education under a scholarship program initiated by the government in 2015. It says the students are now ready for employment. The students specialized in mathematics, physics, chemistry, biology, as well as technical and vocational education. And in sports, Sean Morris, Jody Monbaro, and Mike Boyd won their respective categories at the Jamaica Golf Association Senior Trial for the Caribbean Championships to be held in Florida from October 9 to 12. Morris held off a challenge from Mark Newnham to win the men's senior title by just one stroke. Despite firing the best round to end with a 5 over par 77 for 11 over 227, Newnham couldn't beat the former champion, who carded a 7 over par 79 for a gross total of 10 over par 226. Both players will be representing the country in the mid-amateur section of the Ramon Bees Trophy.
I'm happy with the win. I'm always happy with the win. I'm not happy with the execution of some of my shots. There's a lot of room for improvement, and as such, I have to go back to the drawing board. I travel next week to play the mid-senior in Florida, so this week is another hard working week for me at the golf range.
Boyd with rounds of 80, 77 and 80 finished 21 over par 237, while Tomlinson carded 78, 79 and 83 for 24 over par 240. Boyd and Tomlinson will be competing in the Higgs and Higgs Trophy.
It's good because it gives us more time to practice. It gives us more time because it's a team event for yourself and your partner to get used to each other and each other's games. So I think it will all go very well for the team that we actually have these months to practice and to develop some synergies.
Jamaica will be competing for 6 trophies, 3 for the men and 2 for the women, and a country trophy. And that's the Midday News. I'm Andrea Chisholm. Join us at 7 for the Primetime News package. On behalf of the news, sports and production teams, good afternoon.